Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the stars streak past the view screen. 15 years had passed since the Great Expulsion, but the memory still burned in his mind like a fresh wound. 15 years since humanity had been cast out from the Galactic Council like criminals. "Captain," called out his communications officer, Lisa Park. "We're getting a distress signal from the Haven Prime colony." Jake turned toward her station. Haven Prime was one of the last human settlements in this sector. They had been silent for months, and Jake feared the worst. Pirates and slavers hunted humans now. Without the Council's protection, they were easy targets. "Can you clean up the signal?" Jake asked. Lisa worked at her controls, her fingers dancing over the holographic interface. The static cleared, and a desperate voice filled the bridge. "This is Sam Rodriguez at Haven Prime. We're under attack. Ravager pirates have us surrounded. Our shields are failing. If anyone can hear this, please help us." Jake's jaw tightened. The Ravagers were the worst kind of scum. They took prisoners as slaves and killed anyone who resisted. He looked at his crew. They all knew the risks of helping. The New Horizon was a colony ship, not a warship. But they also knew they couldn't. "Abandon fellow humans. Set course for Haven Prime," Jake ordered. "Maximum speed." His first officer, Pete Collins, stepped beside him. "Sir, we only have basic weapons. The Ravagers travel in packs." "Then we'll have to be smart about it," Jake replied. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, Jake remembered the day everything changed. He had been a young officer then, serving under Admiral Lisa Carter. The news came like a thunderbolt. The peaceful Zalari homeworld had been destroyed. Their beautiful blue planet was now nothing but space dust and debris. The evidence pointed to humanity. Someone had used human weapons and technology to wipe out an entire species. The Galactic Council was furious. Species that had been friends for decades turned against humans overnight. Jake remembered standing in the council chambers as the vote was called. The Altarians, who had once welcomed humans with open arms, voted for expulsion. The Kepler Federation, humanity's oldest allies, did the same. One by one, every species voted to cast humanity out. "Guilty of genocide," the council declared. "Banished from civilized space." But Jake knew the truth. Humanity didn't destroy the Zalari homeworld. They had been framed. The real culprits were the Vorthak Empire, masters of lies and manipulation. But nobody would listen to human protests. The evidence was too perfect, too complete. Admiral Carter had led the evacuation. Millions of humans fled their homes as council fleets hunted them down. Ships full of families, children, and elderly people ran for their lives. Many didn't make it. "Dropping out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, announced the pilot, Amy Wells. Jake pushed the memories aside. Right now, people needed his help. 2. New Horizon emerged from hyperspace near Haven Prime. The colony sat on a small moon orbiting a gas giant. Jake could see the Ravager ships immediately. 3 large cruisers surrounded the settlement, firing on the colony's shields. "Their shields are down to 20%, reported the scanner operator Rick Newman. Jake studied the tactical display. The Ravagers had powerful ships, but they were focused on the colony. They wouldn't expect an attack from behind. "Amy, take us in low and fast," Jake ordered. "Use the gas giant's gravity to sling us around. Rick, charge all weapons." "Sir, our weapons can barely scratch their hulls," Pete warned. "We're not trying to destroy them," Jake said with a grim smile. "We're trying to make them angry." The New Horizon swept around the gas giant like a comet. Jake waited until the perfect moment, then gave the order. Fire everything we have at the lead ship. Their plasma cannons lit up space. The beams struck the Ravager cruiser's rear shields, causing them to flare and spark. The damage was minimal, but it got their attention. "All 3 ships are turning toward us," Rick reported. "Good. Amy, get us out of here. Make them chase us." The colony ship fled toward the asteroid field at the edge of the system. The Ravager ships followed, their powerful engines easily keeping pace. But Jake wasn't trying to outrun them. He was leading them into a trap. "Now," he ordered. Amy threw the ship into a sharp turn, diving between 2 large asteroids. The Ravagers, moving at high speed, couldn't follow the tight maneuver. The lead ship clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. The other 2 ships slowed down, suddenly cautious. "Hit them while they're confused," Jake commanded. The New Horizon emerged from the asteroid field like a striking snake. This time their weapons found weak spots in the damaged shields. One Ravager ship exploded in a ball of fire. The other 2 retreated, not willing to risk more losses for a simple raid. Jake let them go. His job was to save lives, not start wars. The New Horizon returned to Haven Prime. Jake led a team to the colony to check on the survivors. Sam Rodriguez met them at the airlock. He was a big man with grease-stained hands and tired eyes. "Thank you," Sam said simply. "We thought we were finished." Jake looked around the colony. The buildings were damaged but still standing. The people were scared but alive. Dr. Amy Wells was already treating the wounded with supplies from the ship. "How long have you been under attack?" Jake asked. 3 months, Sam replied. "Different groups, all testing our defenses. Word is spreading that humans are easy prey." Jake felt anger building in his chest. This was what humanity had become. Scattered, weak, hunted. The proud species that had once explored the galaxy now hid in the shadows. "It doesn't have to be this way," Jake said. Sam looked at him with hope in his eyes. "What do you mean?" "We're stronger together than apart. Instead of hiding in separate colonies, we should unite. Build something better." "The Council will never let us back in," Sam said bitterly. "Then we don't need the Council," Jake replied. "We build our own future." Over the next few days, Jake talked to the colonists. They were tired of running, tired of being afraid. When he offered them a choice: stay hidden or help build something new. Most chose to fight. Dr. Wells agreed to join them. Her medical skills would be vital. Sam Rodriguez brought his engineering knowledge. One by one, people stepped forward to help. Jake sent messages to other human colonies throughout the Rim. Some were too afraid to answer. Others were too proud to ask for help. But a few responded with interest, as the New Horizon prepared to leave Haven Prime. Jake stood on the bridge looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vorthak Empire was probably laughing at humanity's fate. The Council continued to meet without human voices. But Jake had a plan. Humanity would not fade quietly into the dark. They would grow stronger, smarter, more united than ever before. And someday, they would return to claim their rightful place among the stars. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying the seeds of humanity's future. The Great Exile was ending. The real journey was just beginning. Commander Ryan Phillips watched the construction bots work on the massive asteroid. 5 years had passed since Jake Morrison's call for unity, and New Terra was finally taking shape. The asteroid was perfect for their needs. It was huge, hidden, deep in a field of floating rocks, and invisible to most scanners. "The new living quarters are almost finished," reported his assistant, Kate Sullivan. She had been elected to lead the growing human settlements. Her sharp mind and steady voice made people feel safe in these dangerous times. Ryan nodded as he studied the progress reports. New Terra would be humanity's secret capital. No alien would find them here. The asteroid field was like a maze, and only humans knew the safe paths through it. Dr. Ellen Hayes walked into the command center, her lab coat covered in grease and metal dust. She had been working for days without sleep again. Her team of scientists was humanity's greatest hope for survival. "We did it," Ellen said with a tired smile. "We cracked their shield technology." Ryan and Kate both turned to look at her. This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. "The Vorthak shields work differently than ours," Ellen explained. "They use quantum barriers that bend energy around their ships. But we found a weakness. If you hit them with the right frequency, their shields collapse." Ryan felt excitement building in his chest. "Can we build weapons that use this frequency?" "Already working on it," Ellen replied. "Carl Brooks is designing new plasma cannons. They should cut through Vorthak's shields like paper." Dr. Carl Brooks was Ellen's best physicist. He had escaped from a council research station when the humans were expelled. His knowledge of alien technology was priceless. "What about their engines?" Kate asked. "Can we make our ships faster?" Ellen's smile grew wider. "Nina Walsh figured that out last week. She reverse-engineered a Vorthak hyperdrive we captured. Our ships can now move twice as fast as anything the Council has." Nina Walsh was their cybernetics expert. She could make alien technology work better than the aliens who built it. Her improvements always surprised Ellen's team. Ryan walked too, the large window that looked out over the construction site. Human workers in spacesuits moved between the building frames. Robots carried heavy materials through the vacuum. It looked like a busy anthill. "How many people do we have now?" He asked Kate. "Almost 2 million across all settlements," she replied. "More arrive every week. Jake's rescue missions are finding colonies we thought were lost." Jake Morrison was now an admiral. His fleet of ships searched the galaxy's edge for human survivors. Every rescue mission brought new people to join their growing federation. "What? About our military?" Ryan asked. Kate's expression became serious. "Alex Turner says his Marines are ready for anything. They're different from the old peacekeepers. These soldiers have seen real combat." Colonel Alex Turner ran the military training programs. His Marines fought pirates and slavers almost every week. They had learned to be hard and fast. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and only the strong survived. Ryan remembered the old days when humans tried to make peace with everyone. Those days were over. Now they had to be warriors. "Sir," called out a communications officer. "Admiral Morrison is requesting to speak with you." The main screen lit up, showing Jake's face. He looked older now, with gray hair and scars from battles, but his eyes still burned with determination. "Ryan, we have a problem," Jake said without greeting. "My scouts found Vorthak probe ships near the Centauri colonies." Ryan felt his blood turn cold. The Vorthak Empire was looking for them. If they found the human settlements, it would mean war. "How many ships?" Ryan asked. "3 scout vessels, but they're asking too many questions. The locals are getting nervous." Kate stepped into view of the camera. "Do they know about New Terra?" "Not yet," Jake replied. "But they're getting closer. We need to do something before they report back to their masters." Ryan thought quickly. "If they attack the Vorthak scouts, It would reveal that humans were still organized and dangerous. But if they did nothing, the scouts might discover their secret. "Can your people capture them quietly?" Ryan asked. Jake's grim smile answered the question. "Alex's ghost teams are already moving. We'll take the ships and make it look like pirates." Did it. The ghost teams were Turner's special forces. They struck without warning and left no witnesses. In the past year, they had become legends among the criminal gangs. Nobody knew who they were or where they came from. "Good," Ryan said. "But Jake, we need to talk about what comes next. The Vorthak aren't stupid. They'll send more scouts." "I know," Jake replied. "But we're almost ready. Ellen's new weapons are being installed on all our ships. Turner's Marines are the best fighters in the galaxy, and our new alliance partners are getting impatient." Ryan nodded. Over the past months, they had made secret contact with other species. The Andromedan Collective was tired of Vorthak manipulation. The Korath Empire respected human fighting spirit. Even some council members were starting to question the official story about the Zalari homeworld. "The Andromedans sent another message," Kate added. "Their leader wants to meet face to face." "It's too dangerous," Ryan said. "If the council finds out we're talking to them, it could start a war." "The war is coming anyway," Jake said from the screen. "The Vorthak are building something big in the Void Nebula. Our spies say it's a weapon that can destroy whole star systems." Ryan felt sick. A weapon like that could wipe out every human settlement in one attack. Ellen stepped forward. "If they have a superweapon, we need allies more than ever. Our technology is good, but we can't fight the whole galaxy alone." "She's right," Kate agreed. "We should meet with the Andromedans. If we can prove the Vorthak framed us, other species might join our cause." Ryan looked at the construction outside the window. 2 million humans had found safety here. But it wouldn't matter if the Vorthak had a planet-killer weapon. "Set up the meeting," he decided. "But keep it secret. If this goes wrong, we'll all be dead within a month." Jake nodded from the screen. "I'll handle the arrangements. And Ryan, there's something else. We captured a Vorthak intelligence officer during our last raid. He's been talking." "What did he say?" Kate asked. "The Vorthak know we're getting stronger. They're scared of us. That's why they're rushing to finish their superweapon." Ryan felt a strange mixture of pride and fear. Humanity had been cast aside and forgotten. Now their enemies feared them enough to build doomsday weapons. "How long do we have?" he asked. "Maybe 6 months," Jake replied. "After that, they'll be ready to destroy anyone who opposes them." The transmission ended, leaving Ryan alone with Kate and Ellen. Outside, the construction continued. Human workers built their new home among the stars, not knowing that a terrible weapon was being prepared to destroy them. 6 months, Ellen said quietly. "Can we be ready in 6 months?" Ryan looked at his friends and felt determination fill his heart. Humanity had survived exile, pirates, and years of hardship. They would survive this too. "We have to be," he said. "The galaxy depends on it." Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the secret meeting room aboard the Starfire, his newest ship. The vessel was invisible to all known scanners, thanks to Dr. Ellen Hayes's quantum cloaking technology. Today, he would make a decision that could save humanity or destroy them all. President Kate Sullivan sat across from him, her face serious. Beside her, Intelligence Director Dan Foster spread photos and data files across the table. The pictures showed a massive structure hidden in the Void Nebula, the Vorthak superweapon. "It's bigger than we thought," Dan said, pointing to the images. Our spies estimate it can destroy an entire solar system with one shot. Jake studied the battle station. It was shaped like a giant ring with weapon arrays that glowed with deadly energy. Hundreds of Vorthak ships surrounded it like guardian insects. How long before it's ready? Kate asked. 3 months, maybe less, Dan replied. They're rushing to finish it. Our raids have made them nervous. Jake smiled grimly. Colonel Alex, Turner's ghost teams had been busy. They struck Vorthak supply convoys, destroyed communication stations, and rescued alien prisoners. The enemy no longer felt safe anywhere. "Sir," called Lieutenant Commander Beth Stone from the bridge. "The Andromedan ship is approaching." Jake nodded. This meeting had taken months to arrange. The Andromedans were risking everything by talking to humans. If the Council discovered this secret alliance, it would mean war. The Andromedan ship was beautiful, like a crystal flower floating in space. It moved with grace that human ships could never match. Jake watched it dock with his vessel through the viewing port. Ambassador Chris Parker entered the meeting room with the Andromedan delegation. The aliens looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin and large eyes. Their leader, Zen Ka, moved with quiet dignity. "Admiral Morrison," Zenka said in perfect English, "we meet at last." "Thank you for coming," Jake replied. "I know this is dangerous for your people." Zenka sat down carefully, his movements flowing like water. "The danger grows every day. The Vorthak demand more control over our worlds. They say it is for galactic security." Kate leaned forward. "We have proof that they destroyed the Zalari homeworld, not us." Dan activated a holographic display. It showed the evidence they had gathered over the years. Vorthak ships near the Zalari system, secret communications between Vorthak commanders, even recordings of them planning the attack. Zen Ka studied the information with growing anger. His silver skin seemed to glow brighter as his emotions rose. "This is monstrous," the Andromedan leader said. "They made us vote to exile your people. They used our grief and fear against us." "Will your people believe this evidence?" Jake asked. "Some will. Others are too afraid of Vorthak power." Zenka paused, looking at each human in turn. "But if you can prove your strength, more will join us." Jake understood. The galaxy respected power above all else. Words and evidence meant nothing without the ability to back them up. "What about the Korath Empire?" Kate asked. "War Chief Groktar grows tired of Vorthak orders," Zenka replied. "His warriors want to fight, but the Vorthak keep them on a leash. If you can show that humans are strong fighters, the Korath will listen." Chris Parker spoke up. "We've been in contact with other species too. The mining guild is angry about Vorthak taxes. The free traders hate their shipping restrictions. Many groups want change." Jake felt hope growing in his chest. Humanity was not alone in this fight. The Vorthak had made enemies across the galaxy with their greed and lies. "There's something else," Dan said quietly. "Our captured Vorthak officer revealed their next target. They plan to test the superweapon on an uninhabited world first. Then they'll threaten anyone who opposes their Unity initiative." "Which world?" Zenka asked, fear in his voice. "Kepler 7. It's an empty planet in Andromedan space." Zenka's skin turned pale silver. "That world is sacred to my people. Our ancestors are buried there." Jake saw the pain in the alien's eyes. The Vorthak were not just building a weapon. They were planning to destroy everything their enemies held dear. "We can stop them," Jake said firmly, "but we need to work together." "How?" Kate asked. "That battle station has more firepower than our entire fleet." Ellen Hayes entered the meeting room, carrying a data pad. Her face was excited but tired. She had been working on something secret for weeks. "Sorry to interrupt," Ellen said, "but I have good news. We cracked their shield frequency." She activated her data pad, showing technical drawings and energy patterns. "The superweapon has the same weakness as their ships," Ellen explained. "If we can get close enough, our new weapons can penetrate their defenses. Getting close is the problem," Turner said as he joined the meeting. The colonel looked like a man who had seen too many battles. "That station has 1,000 defensive guns." Ellen smiled. "That's where our cloaked ships come in. They can't shoot what they can't see." Jake studied the battle plans forming in his mind. It would be dangerous, almost impossible, but it might be their only chance. "How many ships do we have with the new cloaking?" he asked. 50 ghost ships, all armed with quantum weapons," Ellen replied, "plus 200 regular vessels with improved shields and engines." "The Andromedans can provide 30 ships," Zenka offered. "Our crystal hulls are resistant to energy weapons. And if I can convince Groktar, the Korath will bring their entire war fleet," Chris added. Jake looked around the room at his allies, humans, Andromedans, and hopefully soon the warrior Korath. It was a strange alliance, but it might be enough. "We need to move fast," Dan warned. "My spies report increased Vorthak activity. They're preparing for something big." Kate stood up, her face determined. "Then we should prepare too. Admiral, you have my authorization to begin Operation Ghost Strike." Jake nodded. It was a good name. They would strike like ghosts in the night, hitting the enemy before they knew what happened. Zenka rose gracefully. "My people will need time to prepare. Many still fear the Vorthak." "Fear is their greatest weapon," Jake replied. "Once we show that the Vorthak can be beaten, fear will work for us instead." The Andromedan leader bowed slightly. "You humans are strange creatures. Cast out and hunted, yet you still fight. Perhaps that is why the Vorthak fear you so much. Thus." The meeting ended and the aliens returned to their ship. Jake stood alone with Kate and Ellen. Outside the viewing port, stars shone like distant promises of hope. "Are we really going to attack that thing?" Kate asked quietly. "Yes," Jake replied. "Because if we don't, they'll use it to enslave the entire galaxy." Ellen checked her data pad again. "The new weapons are being installed on all our ships. Turner's Marines are ready for boarding actions. And our ghost fleet can hit them from 12 different directions at once." Jake smiled for the first time in weeks. Humanity had been cast aside by the Council, hunted by pirates and forgotten by the galaxy, but they had not given up. They had grown stronger in the darkness, building new alliances and new weapons. Soon the Vorthak would learn what humans could do when they fought for their survival. The galaxy would remember why humanity deserved a place among the stars. War Chief Groktar slammed his massive fist on the table, making the metal bend. The Korath leader was 8 feet tall with thick gray skin and tusks like a wild boar. His red eyes burned with anger as he read the intelligence reports. "The Vorthak dare to command us like slaves," he roared. "My warriors grow weak sitting in their barracks, while these cowards play politics." Ambassador Chris Parker sat calmly across from the alien warrior. He had learned not to show fear around the Korath. They respected strength and despised weakness. "Humans offer you something better than politics," Chris said. "They offer you war." Groktar's anger turned to interest. The Korath lived for battle. Their entire culture was built around honor in combat. The peaceful years under Council rule had made them restless and bitter. "Tell me about these humans," Groktar demanded. The Council says they are criminals who destroyed a peaceful world. Chris activated a holographic display showing the evidence of Vorthak lies. The war chief studied the information with growing excitement. His warriors gathered around to watch. The humans were framed, Chris explained. The Vorthak wanted them gone because they feared human strength. Why should I believe this? Groktar asked, but his tone was curious rather than hostile. Because it makes sense, Chris replied. The Vorthak never fight their own battles. They use lies and manipulation instead of honest combat. Does this sound like the action of true warriors? The Korath warriors growled their agreement. They hated the Vorthak way of fighting from the shadows. What do the humans want from us? Groktar asked. Alliance. Together, we can destroy the Vorthak superweapon and free the galaxy from their control. Groktar's tusks showed in what might have been a smile. A superweapon? That sounds like a worthy target for Korath steel. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Vorthak battle station neared completion. Supreme Commander Vexmore walked through the weapons control center, his scaled skin gleaming under the artificial lights. The Vorthak looked like tall lizards with cold, intelligent eyes. "Status report," Vexmore hissed to his technicians. "The main weapon will be ready for testing in 2 days, Commander," replied his chief engineer. "We have selected the target world." "Good. Once we demonstrate our power, no species will dare oppose the Unity Initiative." Vexmore felt satisfaction at the thought. Soon, every world in the galaxy would bow to Vorthak rule. The troublesome humans would be the first to burn. Back on New Terra, Admiral Jake Morrison reviewed the final battle plans. President Kate Sullivan and Colonel Alex Turner stood beside him in the war room. Holographic displays showed the positions of all Allied ships. "The Andromedans are in position near the nebula entrance," Turner reported. 30 crystal ships with enhanced shields. "What about the Korath?" Kate asked. "Groktar agreed to our alliance," Jake said with relief. 50. War cruisers will join the attack. Chris says they're eager to fight. Ellen Hayes entered the room carrying her latest invention. It looked like a small metal sphere covered in blinking lights. "The quantum bombs are ready," she announced. "If we can plant these inside the battle station, they'll tear it apart from within." Jake picked up one of the devices. It was surprisingly light for something so destructive. "How do we get them inside?" he asked. "That's where my Marines come in," Turner said grimly. "We'll board the station during the main attack. While their attention is on the fleet battle, my teams will plant the bombs." Kate looked worried. "It's a suicide mission. That station has thousands of defenders." "Maybe," Turner admitted, "but it's the only way to make sure the weapon is destroyed." Jake studied the battle plans one more time. Everything depended on perfect timing. The cloaked ships would strike first, creating confusion. Then the main fleet would attack from multiple directions. While the Vorthak fought the fleet, Turner's Marines would infiltrate the station. "When do we move?" Ellen asked. "Tomorrow night?" Jake decided. "Dan's spies report the Vorthak are preparing to test their weapon. We have to stop them before they fire it." In the Vorthak command center, alerts suddenly filled the screens. Vexmore rushed to his communications station. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Attacks throughout our territory, Commander," his officer reported. "Supply convoys destroyed, communication stations offline, garrison bases under assault." Vexmore's eyes narrowed. These were not random pirate raids. Someone was launching coordinated strikes against Vorthak positions. "Who dares attack us?" he hissed. "Unknown ships, sir. They appear and disappear like ghosts. Some survivors report seeing human markings. Impossible! The humans are scattered refugees with no real fleet. But even as he spoke, Vexmore felt doubt creeping into his mind. Perhaps they had underestimated human determination. "Double the guard around the battle station," he ordered, "and prepare the weapon for immediate use. If the humans want a war, we will give them one they will never forget." On the human flagship Defiance, Jake watched his fleet prepare for battle. 250 ships hung in space around New Terra. Some were sleek destroyers with quantum weapons. Others were converted cargo vessels carrying Turner's assault troops. Captain Amy Wells, now commanding her own ship, opened a communication channel. "All ships report ready, Admiral," she said. "The Ghost Fleet is already moving toward the target." Jake nodded. The invisible ships would arrive first, striking the outer defenses before the main fleet appeared. It was a strategy no alien commander would expect. "What's our casualty estimate?" Kate asked quietly. "High," Jake admitted. "But if we do nothing, the Vorthak will use that weapon to destroy every human settlement in the galaxy." Colonel Turner stepped forward, his armor gleaming with new modifications. Ellen's team had improved the marine equipment with alien technology. "My teams are ready, sir," Turner reported. "We'll plant those bombs and get out before the station explodes." "Good luck, Colonel," Jake said, knowing they would need more than luck to survive. Beth Stone's voice crackled over the communications system. "Ghost Fleet is in position, beginning the attack in 30 seconds. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had followed him from the dark days of exile to this moment of destiny. Win or lose, humanity would prove they belonged. Among the stars. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," he broadcast to the fleet. "Today we fight not just for our survival, but for our future. The galaxy has forgotten what humans can do when we're pushed too far. Let's remind them." The countdown reached 0. Across the galaxy, invisible human ships struck Vorthak positions simultaneously. Explosions bloomed in the darkness as supply depots and communication centers vanished in balls of fire. At the battle station, Vexmore watched in growing alarm as reports poured in. The humans were not scattered refugees anymore. They had become an organized fighting force with technology that surpassed even Vorthak designs. "Impossible," he whispered. But the evidence was undeniable. The real battle was about to begin, and both sides knew only one would survive to see the dawn. The Void Nebula lit up with weapons fire as the final battle began. Admiral Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the Defiance as his ghost fleet struck the Vorthak battle station. Invisible ships appeared like deadly spirits, firing quantum, weapons that cut through enemy shields. "Direct hit on their outer defense ring," reported Captain Amy Wells. 3 gun platforms destroyed. The massive ring-shaped station was 10 miles across, bristling with weapons and swarming with defender ships. But Ellen Hayes's cloaking technology gave the humans a crucial advantage. The Vorthak couldn't fight what they couldn't see. Supreme. Commander Vexmore screamed orders as his perfect weapon came under attack. Explosions rocked the command center as human ships materialized from nowhere, fired their weapons, and vanished again. "How are they doing this?" Vexmore demanded. "Our sensors show nothing." "Unknown technology, Commander," his officer replied. "Their ships are completely invisible to our systems." More explosions shook the station as the Ghost Fleet continued its assault. The Vorthak defensive guns fired wildly into empty space, hitting nothing but shadows. "The main human fleet is approaching," another officer reported. 200 ships, including Andromedan and Korath vessels. Vexmore felt fear creeping into his mind. The humans were supposed to be weak refugees. Instead, they commanded advanced technology and powerful allies. "Activate the superweapon," he ordered. "Target their flagship." "Sir, the weapon isn't fully charged yet. We need another hour." "Then we fight with what we have," Vexmore hissed. "All ships, attack formation, destroy the human fleet." The space around the station became a war zone. Vorthak cruisers engaged the Allied fleet while ghost ships struck from the shadows. Energy beams crossed the darkness like deadly lightning. War Chief Groktar led the Korath assault with savage joy. His war cruisers smashed into the Vorthak formation like hammers, their heavy weapons punching through enemy hulls. "For honor and battle!" Groktar roared over the communications channel. "Show these cowards how real warriors fight!" The Korath ships were built for close combat. They charged straight at the enemy, absorbing damage while closing to point-blank range. Their crews sang war songs as they died, happy to fall in glorious battle. Meanwhile, the graceful Andromedan ships used different tactics. Zenka's crystal vessels moved like dancers, their hulls reflecting energy weapons while their own guns struck with surgical precision. "The humans fight with great courage," Zenka observed to his bridge crew. "Perhaps we judged them too harshly. In the past." Colonel Alex Turner watched the fleet battle from his assault ship. Around him, 200 Marines checked their weapons and armor. These were humanity's best soldiers, trained for the most dangerous mission of all. "Boarding pods. Ready," reported Captain Beth Stone. "The station's shields are weakening." Turner nodded. Ellen's quantum bombs were hidden in his equipment pack. If they could plant them in the weapon's core, the explosion would tear the station apart from inside. "Remember the plan," Turner told his Marines. "We go in fast and hard, plant the bombs, and get out before this thing blows." The assault ship raced toward the battle station, dodging weapons fire and debris. Around them, the space battle raged as ships on both sides exploded in brilliant flares. "Breaching the hull now," Stone announced as their ship punched through the station's armor. Turner and his Marines poured into the enemy vessel like a flood of destruction. The Vorthak defenders were caught off guard by the sudden assault. Human weapons, improved with alien technology, cut through their defenses. "Move, move, move!" Turner shouted as his teams spread through the station's corridors. The Vorthak fought back with desperate fury. They knew their empire's survival depended on protecting the superweapon. Laser fire filled the metal hallways as both sides battled for control. Dr. Ellen Hayes monitored the assault from the Defiance. Her scanners showed the Marines advancing toward the weapon's core, but Vorthak reinforcements were closing in. "They need more time," she told Jake. "The bombs have to be placed exactly right, or they won't destroy the main reactor." Jake studied the tactical display. His fleet was winning, but at a terrible cost. Dozens of ships had been destroyed, and thousands of brave souls were dead or dying. "All ships, increase pressure on the station's defenses," he ordered. "Draw their attention away from our boarding teams." The human fleet responded with renewed fury. Ghost ships materialized throughout the enemy formation, their weapons striking like lightning bolts from an angry sky. The visible ships charged forward, accepting heavy damage to keep the Vorthak distracted. Inside the station, Turner's Marines fought through waves of defenders. The Vorthak were skilled soldiers, but they had never faced humans in close combat. Human adaptability and aggression proved superior to alien discipline. "Reactor core ahead," called out Sergeant Rick Newman as they blasted through another checkpoint. "Turner, could see their target through the smoke and sparks. The superweapon's heart was a massive sphere of pure energy, contained by magnetic fields and quantum barriers. It pulsed with deadly power, preparing to unleash destruction on a galactic scale. "Plant the charges," Turner ordered. "Set them for maximum yield." His demolition experts went to work, placing Ellen's quantum bombs around the reactor chamber. The devices would create a cascade failure that no force in the universe could stop. "Charges set," Newman reported. 5 minutes to detonation. "All teams, fall back to the extraction point," Turner commanded. But as they turned to leave, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Vexmore's voice echoed from hidden speakers. "Human invaders, you are too late. The weapon is charging for emergency fire. In 3 minutes, your fleet will burn." Turner felt ice in his veins. The Vorthak were willing to sacrifice their own station to destroy the human fleet. Through the viewing ports, he could see the weapon's barrel glowing with terrible energy. "Can we speed up the detonation?" he asked his explosives expert. "Not without reducing the yield," came the reply. "We might not destroy the whole reactor." Turner made a decision that would haunt him forever. "Set the charges for immediate detonation. We'll take our chances." "Sir, we won't make it to the extraction point in time." "I know," Turner said quietly. "But the mission comes first." His Marines looked at him with respect and fear. They had followed him through hell, and now he was asking them to die for the greater good. "It's been an honor serving with you all," Turner said simply. The bombs exploded just as the superweapon began to fire. The quantum cascade tore through the station's structure like an unstoppable wave. Metal twisted, and energy systems overloaded in a chain reaction of destruction. On the Defiance, Jake watched the battle station tear itself apart. Brilliant light poured from every crack in its hull as the superweapon's energy turned inward, consuming the very thing it was meant to protect. "Turner's team?" Jake asked quietly. Ellen checked her scanners and slowly shook her head. "No life signs detected." Jake closed his eyes for a moment, honoring the sacrifice of brave soldiers. Then he opened them and looked at the tactical display. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "Prepare for pursuit operations. The Vorthak Empire ends today." Throughout the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The invincible superweapon was destroyed, the Vorthak fleet was scattered, and humanity had returned to claim their place among the stars. The age of exile was over. The age of human ascendancy had begun. 6 months after the destruction of the Vorthak superweapon, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the Great Assembly Hall on New Terra. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, their voices mixing in 100 different languages. Today would mark the birth of something the galaxy had never seen before. President Kate Sullivan walked to the central podium, her steps echoing in the vast space. Behind her, the flags of the Free Galactic Alliance hung in colorful rows. Each banner represented a species that had chosen freedom over Vorthak tyranny. "Friends and allies," Kate began, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "We gather today not as conquerors, but as liberators. The age of fear is over." Jake watched from his seat of honor, remembering the dark days when humans hid in asteroid fields and ran from every shadow. Now they sat as equals among the greatest civilizations in the galaxy. War Chief Groktar pounded his massive fist on his chair in approval. The Korath leader had become one of humanity's strongest supporters after the battle. His warriors respected the human way of fighting, direct and honest. The humans proved their strength in combat, Groktar had told his people. They are worthy allies. Zenka of the Andromedans nodded gracefully from his crystal chair. His people had been the first to believe the evidence of Vorthak lies. Now they worked closely with human scientists, sharing knowledge that benefited both species. The Andromedans offer our crystal technology to the Alliance, Zenka announced. Together, we will build ships that can explore the deepest mysteries of space. Dr. Ellen Hayes sat with the scientific delegation, her latest inventions displayed on floating platforms around her. The quantum cloaking devices that had won the HFY War were only the beginning. Her team was now working on projects that would change the galaxy forever. We've cracked the secret of faster-than-light communication, Ellen had told Jake earlier. Ships will be able to talk to each other across the entire galaxy instantly. The technology would connect distant worlds like never before. Trade, diplomacy, and friendship would flourish as barriers of distance disappeared. Dan Foster, now the Alliance's chief intelligence officer, had spent months hunting down Vorthak war criminals. Most had fled to the galaxy's edge, but justice was catching up with them one by one. We found Vex Moore hiding on a mining station in the Outer Rim, Dan reported to the Assembly. He'll stand trial for his crimes against the Zalari people and many others. The former Vorthak commander had been broken by his defeat. The proud empire he had served was now scattered and powerless. Their lies had been exposed, their weapons destroyed, and their slaves freed. Ambassador Chris Parker stood to address the Assembly. His diplomatic skills had built the alliance that brought down the Vorthak Empire. Now he worked to keep it together as they built something better. The old Galactic Council ruled through fear and manipulation, Chris said. The Free Galactic Alliance will govern through cooperation and respect. Jake smiled as he watched his friend speak. Chris had come a long way from the scared diplomat who first met with the Korath. Now he commanded respect from species across the galaxy. The mining guild had joined the alliance after seeing how humans treated their workers. Instead of slaves, they became partners. Profits were shared fairly, and safety became the top priority. Human. Mining techniques are more efficient and safer, reported guild leader Borax. Our workers live better lives and produce more resources. The free traders had also embraced the alliance. Human merchants brought new ideas about fair trade and open markets. Corruption was rooted out, and honest business flourished. Trade. Routes that were once controlled by Vorthak cronies are now open to everyone, announced Captain Sarah Kim of the Merchant Marine. Prices have dropped and quality has improved across the galaxy. Jake stood as Kate called him to the podium. The Assembly fell silent as the hero of the war prepared to speak. His words would shape the future of the galaxy. 15 years ago, humanity was cast aside by the Galactic Council, Jake began. We were labeled criminals and exiled to the edge of space. Many thought we would fade away and be forgotten. He paused, looking at the faces of former enemies who had become friends. But humans don't give up easily. We grew stronger in exile. We learned to work together. We built new technologies and forged new alliances. Most importantly, we never lost hope. The Assembly listened in complete silence. Jake's voice carried the weight of humanity's long journey from outcasts to leaders. Today, we don't seek revenge against those who wronged us. We seek justice for all who have suffered under tyranny. The Free Galactic Alliance will protect the weak, defend the innocent, and ensure that no species is ever cast aside again. Applause thundered through the hall as delegates rose to their feet. Even former council members who had voted for humanity's exile now cheered for the alliance. The Altarians had been among the first to apologize for their mistake. Their ancient wisdom traditions valued truth above politics, and they couldn't ignore the evidence of human innocence. "We were deceived by Vorthak lies," admitted Elder Catal. "The Altarian people ask forgiveness and offer our friendship to humanity." The Kepler Federation had taken longer to come around, but eventually their love of justice won out. They now worked closely with human legal experts to establish fair courts throughout Alliance space. The Federation acknowledges its error, stated Justice Minister Thale. "We pledge our support to the Alliance's mission of true galactic justice." As the ceremony concluded, Jake walked to the observation deck overlooking New Terra's growing cityscape. Construction robots worked alongside alien volunteers to build the Alliance's new capital. The asteroid that had once hidden humanity's secret base was now becoming the galaxy's shining beacon of hope. Kate joined him at the window, watching ships from dozens of species dock at the massive spaceport. "Do you ever miss the old days?" she asked. "When it was just us against the galaxy?" Jake considered the question carefully. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But look what we've built together. This is bigger than anything humans could have achieved alone." Ellen approached them, carrying a data pad with her latest project details. Her quantum research had opened doors to technologies that seemed like magic. "The Andromedans want to build a joint research station in the galactic core," she announced excitedly. "We could unlock the secrets of black holes and maybe even find ways to travel to other galaxies." Jake smiled at his friend's enthusiasm. Ellen's curiosity had always driven her to push the boundaries of what was possible. Now she had the resources of entire civilizations to support her work. "What about exploration?" Kate asked. "Are we ready to go beyond our own galaxy?" "Not yet," Ellen replied. "But in 10 years, maybe 20, we'll have ships that can cross the void between galaxies. Imagine what we might find out there." As night fell over New Terra, Jake stood on his balcony looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the remnants of the Vorthak Empire nursed their wounds and plotted revenge. But they would find a very different galaxy if they ever returned. The Free Galactic Alliance was strong, united, and growing stronger every day. Humanity had been cast aside once, but they had returned as something greater than they had ever been before. They were no longer just another species among many. They had become the guardians of freedom and justice in a galaxy that desperately needed both. The age of human ascendancy had truly begun. 2 years after the founding of the Free Galactic Alliance, trouble came from an unexpected direction. Captain Beth Stone stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Pathfinder, staring at the scanner readings that made no sense. "Are you certain these readings are correct?" she asked her science officer. "Confirmed, Captain," replied Dr. Mark Chen. "There's definitely something massive moving toward our galaxy from deep space." Beth studied the data. Whatever was out there was bigger than anything in the Alliance database. It moved with purpose, traveling faster than natural objects should be able to move. "How long until it reaches Alliance space?" she asked. "At current speed, approximately 6 months," Mark replied. "Captain, I think it might be artificial." Beth felt ice in her stomach. The Alliance had just finished rebuilding after the Vorthak War. They weren't ready for a new threat from beyond the galaxy. "Send an emergency message to New Terra," she ordered. "Priority Alpha. Tell them we may have first contact with an unknown alien civilization." On New Terra, Admiral Jake Morrison received the message while reviewing construction plans for the new Alliance fleet. The years of peace had allowed them to build ships designed for exploration rather than war. Now it seemed they might need weapons again. President Kate Sullivan arrived at his office within minutes of the alert. Her face showed the same concern. Jake felt. "How dangerous could they be?" Kate asked as they reviewed the scanner data. "Unknown," Jake replied. "But anything that can travel between galaxies has technology we can't imagine." Dr. Ellen Hayes joined the emergency meeting, bringing her latest research data. Her team had been working on long-range sensors that could detect objects at incredible distances. "I've been tracking this contact for 3 weeks," Ellen said. "It's definitely a ship, or maybe a fleet of ships. The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen." Jake looked at the holographic display showing the approaching objects. They were still months away, but already their presence was causing worry throughout the Alliance. "What do we know about their intentions?" Kate asked. "Nothing," Ellen admitted. "They haven't responded to any of our communication attempts. They just keep coming." Dan Foster entered the room carrying classified reports from his intelligence network. His agents had been searching for any mention of extragalactic visitors in ancient records. "I found something," Dan announced. "The Altarian archives contain stories about visitors from beyond the stars. They called them the Watchers." Jake felt a chill. The Altarians were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Their records went back millions of years. "What do the stories say?" Kate asked. "That the Watchers judge civilizations," Dan replied. "They test younger species to see if they're worthy of survival." Ellen studied the ancient texts on Dan's datapad. "According to this, they last visited our galaxy 2 million years ago. Several species were found wanting and disappeared completely." Jake understood the implications. If these Watchers were returning, they might be coming to judge the current galactic civilization. The Alliance would need to prove humanity and their allies deserved to survive. "We need to prepare," Jake decided. "Alert all Alliance members. Begin emergency construction of defensive platforms." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the massive Watcher ship continued its journey toward the galaxy. Inside its crystalline chambers, beings of pure energy discussed what they had observed. "The galactic civilization has changed since our last visit," spoke the entity known as the First Watcher. "New species have risen to prominence." "The humans are interesting," observed the Second Watcher. "They were cast out by their peers, but returned stronger than before. Their technology advances rapidly," noted the Third Watcher. "They may pose a threat to galactic stability." The Watchers had seen many civilizations rise and fall across the universe. Most followed predictable patterns of growth, expansion, conflict, and decline. But occasionally a species emerged that could change the course of history. "We must test them," the First Watcher decided. "If they prove worthy, they may join the greater galactic community. If not, they must be contained." Back on New Terra, the Alliance leadership worked frantically to prepare for contact. War Chief Groktar had mobilized the entire Korath fleet. Zenka coordinated Andromedan scientists to develop new shield technologies. "Our combined fleets number over 3,000 ships," reported Groktar. "We are ready for battle." "But are we ready for peace?" asked Zenka. "If these Watchers come in friendship, we must not appear hostile." Jake understood the dilemma. The Alliance needed to show strength to deter aggression, but also wisdom to avoid unnecessary conflict. Ambassador Chris Parker had been working to establish communication protocols. His team had developed universal translation programs that could handle any known language patterns. "If they want to talk, we'll be ready," Chris assured the leadership. "But their silence is troubling." Dr. Ellen Hayes made a breakthrough that changed everything. Her deep space scanners finally got a clear image of the approaching vessel. "It's not a warship," Ellen announced to the emergency council. "It's a city." The holographic display showed a structure unlike anything they had imagined. The Watcher ship was a floating metropolis, complete with gardens, towers, and what looked like residential areas. "How many beings could live in something that size?" Kate asked in wonder. "Millions, possibly billions," Ellen replied. "This isn't an invasion force. It's an entire civilization traveling between galaxies." Jake felt both relief and new concern. If the Watchers were nomadic, they might be looking for a new home. That could mean either peaceful settlement or forced colonization. "We need more information," Jake decided. "Ellen, can you design a probe that could reach them safely?" "Already working on it," Ellen replied. "But at their current distance even, our fastest probe would take months to reach them." Time was running out. The Watcher ship would reach the galaxy's edge in 4 months. Once it arrived, the Alliance would have to deal with beings whose technology and intentions remained completely unknown. Captain Amy Wells volunteered to lead a diplomatic mission to the galaxy's edge. Her ship, the Horizon's Edge, was equipped with Ellen's latest communication equipment and protected by experimental shields. "If they're willing to talk, someone needs to be there to listen," Amy argued when Jake expressed concerns about the danger. "Take a full escort," Jake ordered. "And if they show any hostile intent, retreat immediately." As Amy's fleet departed for the Galactic Rim, the Alliance continued its preparations. Defensive platforms were constructed around major worlds. Emergency evacuation plans were drawn up for civilian populations. But Jake knew that if the Watchers truly possessed technology capable of traveling between galaxies, conventional defenses might be useless. The Alliance's best hope lay in proving they were worthy of survival through wisdom rather than weapons. The question remained, what did beings who had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations consider worthy? And would humanity and their allies measure up to those ancient standards? In the depths of space, the Watcher ship continued its inexorable approach. Soon, the galaxy would learn whether the Free Galactic Alliance represented evolution or merely another failed experiment in civilization. The greatest test in human history was about to begin. Captain Amy Wells stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Edge as the massive Watcher ship filled her view screen. The alien vessel was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its crystal surface reflected the light of distant stars, creating patterns that seemed to move and shift like living art. "They're scanning us," reported her communications officer. "Some kind of energy beam we've never seen before." Amy kept her hand steady on the command chair, though her heart was racing. In a few moments, she would either make first contact with a peaceful civilization or witness the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge. "Any response to our messages?" she asked. "Nothing yet, Captain." "But wait. I'm getting something now." The bridge filled with a sound like musical chimes, followed by a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It spoke in perfect English, though Amy knew no human had ever taught these beings their language. "Greetings, children of Earth. I am the first Watcher. We have come to observe your species and judge your worthiness." Amy stood up, representing not just humanity, but the entire Free Galactic Alliance. "I am Captain Amy Wells of the Alliance Fleet. We welcome you to our galaxy and hope for peaceful contact." "Peace is not always possible," the voice replied. "Some species prove too dangerous to exist alongside others. We have witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Most disappoint us." Through the view screen, Amy could see lights moving within the massive ship. The Watchers were examining her vessel, her crew, perhaps even her thoughts. "What makes a species worthy in your judgment?" Amy asked. "Growth without destruction, unity without oppression, strength without cruelty. Your species has shown promise, but also great potential for harm." Amy thought about humanity's history. Wars, conflicts, and mistakes stretched back thousands of years. But there had also been art, love, exploration, and the desire to build something better. "We've made mistakes," Amy admitted. "But we learn from them. We grow stronger and wiser. We observed your recent conflict with the Vorthak Empire," the first Watcher said. "You were cast aside by your peers, yet you did not seek revenge when you gained power. This suggests wisdom." On New Terra, Admiral Jake Morrison watched the conversation through long-range communications. The Alliance leadership had gathered in the command center, knowing that Amy's words could determine the fate of their entire civilization. "She's doing well," President Kate Sullivan said quietly. "But we don't know what they're really looking for." Dr. Ellen Hayes monitored the energy readings from the Watcher ship. The technology was beyond anything she could understand, operating on principles that seemed to bend the laws of physics. "Their ship generates more power than our entire sun," Ellen whispered in amazement. "If they wanted to destroy us, we couldn't stop them." Back on the horizon's edge, Amy continued her dialogue with the mysterious beings. She could feel the weight of billions of lives resting on her shoulders. "We've learned that strength comes from cooperation," Amy said. "The Alliance represents dozens of species working together as equals. No one rules over the others." "An interesting development," the first Watcher replied. "Most galactic civilizations eventually fall under the control of a single dominant species. Your alliance appears different." Amy seized the opportunity. "Would you like to meet our other leaders? War Chief Groktar of the Korath, Zenka of the Andromedans, President Sullivan of the Humans? They could show you how our cooperation works." There was a long pause. Amy could see energy patterns shifting within the Watcher ship as the aliens consulted among themselves. "We will visit your capital world," the first Watcher finally announced. "Prepare your leaders for our arrival." Amy felt relief and terror in equal measure. The Watchers were coming to New Terra. Everything the Alliance had built would be put to the test. 3 days later, the Watcher ship materialized in orbit around New Terra without any warning. Its sudden appearance caused panic throughout the system until Jake's voice calmed the population. "Citizens of the Alliance," Jake broadcast. "We are about to host visitors from beyond our galaxy. Show them the best of what we've built together." The Watchers descended to New Terra in a shuttle that looked like a floating gem. The first Watcher and 2 companions emerged as beings of pure light contained within crystalline forms. They moved with grace that defied gravity. Jake met them at the landing platform, flanked by Kate, Groktar, Zenka, and representatives from every Alliance species. The sight was impressive. Dozens of different life forms standing together in unity. "Welcome to New Terra," Jake said. "We are honored by your presence." The first Watcher studied each delegate carefully. "Show us your civilization. We would see how you govern, how you resolve conflicts, how you treat those weaker than yourselves." Over the following days, the Watchers toured Alliance territory. They visited hospitals where human doctors worked alongside alien healers. They observed schools where children of different species learned together. They watched the Alliance Council debate and make decisions through cooperation rather than force. The Watchers were particularly interested in the memorials to those who had died in the war against the Vorthak. They studied the names of humans, Andromedans, Korath, and others who had sacrificed their lives for freedom. You honor your dead equally, regardless of species, the second watcher observed. This shows respect for all life. But the real test came when the watchers visited the refugee camps. Thousands of former Vorthak citizens lived there, people whose empire had collapsed after the war. Many Alliance citizens had wanted revenge against them. Instead, they found Alliance workers providing food, shelter, and education to their former enemies. Children who had once been taught to hate humans now played alongside human youngsters. We could have punished them, Kate explained to the watchers. Many people wanted us to, but we chose to offer them a chance at a better life. The third watcher spoke for the first time. You show mercy to those who wronged you. This is the mark of a truly advanced civilization. On their final day, the watchers called a meeting with the Alliance leadership. Jake and his colleagues gathered in the council chambers, not knowing what judgment would be pronounced. We have observed your species and your alliance, the first watcher announced. You have passed our tests. Relief flooded through the room, but the first watcher continued. However, our judgment comes with responsibility. You will serve as guardians of this galaxy. When other species face extinction or oppression, you must help them. When conflicts arise, you must mediate. Can you accept this burden? Jake looked at his allies. War Chief Groktar nodded with fierce pride. Zenka smiled with quiet wisdom. Kate stood with the determination that had carried humanity through its darkest hours. We accept, Jake said simply. The watchers began to glow brighter. Then receive our gifts. Light filled the chamber as knowledge flowed into the minds of every Alliance leader. Technologies beyond imagination, star charts of distant galaxies, and the wisdom of countless civilizations became part of human and alien understanding. Use these gifts wisely, the first watcher said. We will watch your progress from afar. Prove yourselves worthy of the trust we place in you. The watcher. Ship departed as suddenly as it had arrived, leaving the Alliance forever changed. Humanity and their allies now possessed technology that would let them explore other galaxies and protect life throughout the universe. Years later, as Jake stood on New Terra watching ships depart for distant stars, he thought about the long journey that had brought them here. Humanity had been cast aside by the Galactic Council, hunted and forgotten, but they had returned stronger than ever, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The species that had once been outcasts now protected the weak and preserved peace across the galaxy. They had not just earned their place among the stars, they had become the light that guided others to safety. The age of human ascendancy was complete, but their greatest adventures were just beginning.